Hello, everyone. I'm Kay Riley, also known as the Principal Nerd. Sorry, I'm getting on a little bit late today. I've been having technical issues today with my Wi-Fi. It's been out in our area all day today, so I apologize for that. So if you are just joining me live, go ahead and put your name in the comments and where you're joining me from so that everyone will know who is here. Again, welcome to the webinar. We'll be getting started really shortly. Welcome, everybody. Make sure you're putting your name in the comments. I'm just going to pull up my other screen on my phone so that I'm able to see comments while I am chatting with you live today. If I can get everything working. So if you haven't already, make sure that you have downloaded the workbook. It is included inside your email that you received from me. You should have received one today. You should have received one as soon as you registered. And normally you get one reminding you like, hey, we're about to go live, but that could not happen today thanks to technology. But here we are, ready to work. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So we're going to get started. We're getting ready to get started. So I'm going to share my screen with you in just a second. But just to let you guys know, I'm Kay Riley, also known as the Principal Nerd. And for those of you who have been following me, I've been getting messages and people are like, your hair is different every time. And that is pretty much true. Like it is different every time. Right now, I'm in the season of trying to work out so I can have a little bit of a beach body in a couple of months. So I needed something that was a little bit low maintenance. So here it is with big, wild, crazy hair today. So who knows what you might get the next time. Awesome. So we had a person who was last name Vaughn. Carmilla, I believe is how I say your name. Sorry if I'm butchering names, but I'm glad you're able to get on now. So we are here ready to work. So you guys have signed up for the How to Land Your First Assistant Principal Job webinar. And so with that webinar, you should have received your workbook inside and we are ready to work. So again, as you're coming in, put your comments inside the comments box so that we know that you are here and where you are joining us from. I'll kick off with the comment there in the box for you guys and we're getting ready to work. So we are starting with the How to Land Your First Assistant Principal Job. So this is going to give you guys an inside scoop of what to do. So I'm excited to share this stuff with you. Those of you who are brand new to me, who've never attended any of my webinars before, thank you. I'm glad that you found me through social media or a friend of yours, or you signed up for an email list. However you got here, I'm super excited that you are here. And I tell people all the time, nothing happens by chance. If you're here tonight, you were supposed to be here tonight. The messages I'm going to be sharing with you is something that you were supposed to hear. And I hope that it's going to be valuable information for you. So let's get started. So just a little bit about me. My name is Katrina Riley, also known as Kay Riley, also known as the Principal Nerd. And what that means is that I'm an educational career coach and I help aspiring school leaders reach their educational career goals. I do everything from coaching, providing digital products, as well as helping others in live person coaching, as well as virtual coaching to get where they need to be or where they want to be and get them to stay where they want to be. So get you employed and help you stay employed. especially in the areas of school leadership. So that's a picture of me holding my first book. I am an author. I'm a former ELA teacher. I taught ELA for several years. Like a crazy person, I taught 1 year of 6th grade, but the rest of the years in teaching was in 7th grade. I absolutely loved it at the time. I was a middle school person, so I thought, to my core. Had the opportunity to land my first assistant principal position at a high school with students who I had previously taught before as their teachers. So I kind of transitioned with them as they were freshmen in our area high school. From there, I had an opportunity to work in New Orleans, Louisiana as a resident principal, doing some great work with turnaround and transformational schools in the New Orleans area. I've had the opportunity to be a principal coach, work with districts, work with regions, and I've actually served as a school principal. Most recently, I've done some work as a data coach to help principals make accurate decisions for instruction based around student data so that students can be successful. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. But like, why should you even listen to anything that I have to say? Really, it's because I am passionate about coaching and passionate about helping other people to be great. And especially when that relates to making sure that we give our kids that we are working with and we're serving the very best that we can. So enough about me. Let's jump into what you signed up for. So you signed up for how to land your first assistant principal job. And I start talking to people by talking to them by identifying your why. Start with your why. Why do you even want to be an assistant principal? Recognizing the fact that a teacher leader, a classroom teacher, instructional person, anything in that teacher category or realm is very different than going into an assistant principal role where you're working with administration and that whole entire department. Those things are night and day difference. Your work going from leading children and working with children to leading and managing adults. And that can be very tricky at times, especially as a new person. So it's important to identify your why. There's no right or wrong answer as to what your why is. What's your purpose? What's your reasoning for wanting to move from a classroom teacher to a leadership role? Why is that? No one can tell you the answer to that. But I will suggest to you that you need to clarify your why, know why it's important to you. And if that question yourself, is that why, your reasoning, going to be enough to sustain you in the role as you move forward and you progress as a leader? And being able to convey your why, especially as you're going from a teacher to admin. So this would be going for your very first assistant principal role. Oftentimes people are going to ask you the basic general question, why do you want to be an assistant principal? And you need to be able to answer that question. And whatever that answer is, you have to own that answer. So if your reasoning for wanting to be an assistant principal is that you want to help children, well, aren't you helping children as a classroom teacher? So, or if your reasoning for wanting to be an assistant principal is because you feel like you could impact teachers, well, if you're a teacher leader, are your grade level chair, are you impacting teachers in that level? You need to be able to identify it, clarify it, and fully convey it, because whoever's looking to hire an assistant principal, here's the newsflash, guys, they're looking to make sure that they're going to have someone that is going to help them to push and carry out their educational agenda. And your why helps a principal or a district who may be hiring for assistant principals, doing a mass search for APs, understand if what you're saying and what's resonating with you and what's driving you and your purpose for what it is that you want to do as an AP, if that is going to match with the principal that's interviewing you, or who may be placed as your principal if you're in an interview session where they place you in districts. So it's important to know why it is that you want to do this completely different task. And a lot of people in their interview process miss this mark. I don't think people are thinking that they're going to ask this question, or people don't practice answering this question so that it does sound convincing, that it does resonate with the person that you're interviewing with, and that it showcases your passion and your initiative that you wish to take, and really why you want to take on this particular role. And I'm strongly believe that people who master this part, being able to convey, identify, clarify, and convey their why, are the people who end up getting hired in their AP positions. Like, that passion just really shows through in their interview process. So it doesn't leave people questioning, like, does he or she really want this job? Or like, why do they want this position? It just sounds like they just want a promotion because they want a little bit more money, or they want more freedom. Like, and those things may be true, but I'm telling you right now, those aren't going to be the things that are going to connect with your potential principal to get you hired. So make sure that you're starting with your why, identifying it very clearly, being able to understand it and clarify it for yourself as well as others through the way that you convey it. The second thing that I want to share with people is making sure that you have a mindset shift, because you guys are applying for your first AP role. So I'm guessing that many of you are coming from the classroom, some teacher leader type position. And if that is the case, a lot of times a mindset shift has to happen. Like I mentioned when I first started talking in our webinar tonight, is that you're going from a completely different role. And that's okay, but things have to happen. It just doesn't it's not a smooth, seamless transition. Something has to happen to A, make you want to do the role, and B, make you want to stay in the role. So you've got to start thinking like a leader and eliminating the us versus them thinking, and start functioning in the LO versus the PO. So I'll talk to you about what that is. So thinking like a leader is just what it means, what it says, self-explanatory. Thinking like a leader, you're no longer thinking about what's happening in your classroom, but you're thinking about how the work that you do is going to impact the larger group of people that you serve. So going from a classroom teacher, say if you're in an elementary setting and you have 25 kids in the class, which is really large. If you have that many kids in the class, as a classroom teacher, you're just impacting that one group of students that you're working with day in and day out. However, if you're able to transform what you're doing to then move those practices to scale, you're going to then be impacting your entire school that you're working in. So you go from 25 kids that you're impacting to now positively impacting the trajectory of 600 children, 800 children, 1,200 kids, depending on your school that you're serving. So you can no longer think about what are you going to do in this particular classroom. You've got to be able to put on a different set of lenses so that you change the way that you look at things. You're not going in thinking about, oh, how I lock the doors in my building. You're now thinking about what happens if all 35 teachers don't lock doors in an entire building. So you're starting to move away from the silo of work to then the larger scope of work. And once that mindset shift happens, you do start to eliminate an us versus them thinking. And what I mean by that is a lot of times we have, and you find it in a lot of cultures where the environment is not as warm and fuzzy as we would like. But you have the us versus them, the teachers versus the admin versus the teachers. I never subscribe to that. I recognize that in any work setting, you're going to have a boss. You're going to have someone that's in charge, and recognizing that they're in charge for a reason and to follow their lead and be a part of a team. But if you have a thought process that is the teachers versus admin, then you need to stay in your current position and save yourself and do everyone else, including yourself, a favor, and do not pursue administration for a school leader. Don't do it to yourself, because if you're thinking us versus them or them versus us, that is never going to help you propel forward in terms of promotion, in terms of moving student performance and getting things done for kids, because that becomes your entire focus, is what is right for children as a school leader. And that leads me to the next point, which is the LO versus PO. So LO stands for learning orientation and PO stands for performance orientation. So once you go from a performance orientation, that just simply means that the things that you do and the actions that you take day in and day out are pretty much like how you perform. You want to do well. You're doing this task because you want the students to perform well. You're doing this task because you want to perform greatly. You're in the performance orientation. However, to move your thinking from a performance orientation to the LO, which is the learning orientation, will help you to grow forward, will help you to have an open mind when things don't go right, will help you to see things from completely different vantage points, to help you to constantly stay in that learning orientation. So I recommend that you begin thinking like a leader. Your mindset starts to shift where you are eliminating the us versus them thinking, and you're thinking about how your actions and how you galvanize teams to do what's in the best interest for kids. And you move from the performing orientation to the learning orientation. That allows you to make mistakes and not dig your head in the sand and just stay there. And those are things that people want to see in administrators, knowing that you're going to be resilient, that you're going to be able to take constructive criticism as well as giving the constructive criticism. And if you're in the learning orientation on a regular, consistent basis, you're able to do that with teams of teachers that you will now be leading as an assistant principal. So you got to do the work. That's another big thing on how you land your first assistant principal role. That's a picture of me with a hard hat on from a couple of years ago, which was our theme as a principal, building on our success. So we had a whole bunch of hard hats and building blocks and hammers and all those things for our back to school breakfast that particular year. But you've got to do the work, and the work is hard. Even if you're not an AP yet, that doesn't mean that you cannot start taking the steps necessary to become the AP that you want to be. So I recommend to everyone that you begin taking on the leadership responsibilities, that you're signing up for your school's leadership team, that you are getting involved in what's happening in the school, and that you're volunteering for experience. The number one thing people talk about or they complain about, or the major frustration for those aspiring to assistant principal, is that you feel that you can't get experience, or you don't have the experience to get your first admin job. And it's like an oxymoron. Like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? Do I get hired to get experience? Do I need experience to get hired? What is it that you need to do? However, people understand that this is the beginning of the admin role for most people. Is the beginning starts with the AP's position, and you do need the experience. And that doesn't mean that people are expecting you to have already been an AP just magically somewhere before without ever being hired. But people are looking to see, have you been taking leadership responsibilities under your belt to get yourself ready and prepared to become an AP. Unfortunately, guys, those things don't come with any additional pay a lot of times, but it does come with a different set of value set for you that you'll be able to transfer over into your interview process, and then eventually to help you land your first AP job. And if you're joining me late, please make sure that you put your comments inside the box there so I can make sure that I'm checking comments for people. So here are two things I want to remind you to do before your interview. Number one, research your potential employer. This is huge. People think that, oh, I work in the district, I already know some things, but a lot of work is not done into researching your potential employer. It is important that you understand who it is that you could possibly work for. If you're applying for positions outside of the district, I am encouraging people to strongly research the district, research the potential principal that you may work for, because the wrong principal AP match could ruin your entire admin career even before it gets started. I've been guilty, even as a principal, of making a really bad AP hire. You know, I hired a person that was a little bit different in thinking than me, and I thought it was going to be okay. But for the long run, we were not a match whatsoever. And so it was an uphill battle, not only for myself, but for her as well. So we had to come to the agreement that we made some bad matches. We were not a match. This was not a honeymoon period. It was over. And so therefore we needed to do some different things in terms of her placement. Because that didn't mean that she wasn't a good leader. She just wasn't the right leader to fit me and the school that I was working in as the principal at the time. But we could have saved a lot of time and effort, and we could have been able to give stronger work and support to teachers and kids had we made a different match earlier on. And you think about that same example with somebody who may not have been so kind as I was at that time, who was just ready to say, you know, cut ties, like this person isn't good, and cut them and give them the axe. And that happens to a lot of administrators, unfortunately, all the time. So for you to be forward thinking and being proactive about your trajectory as an administrator, as a school leader, it's important to do your homework. Find out what type of principal that you're interviewing for. Determine what is your ideal leader. Do you want somebody who's a micromanager? Do you need someone that sets a lot of parameters and gives you deadlines and timelines? Or do you need someone that gives you a little bit more autonomy to kind of work on your own and be responsible for tasks? It's important that you know yourself so that you can identify what it is that you and who it is that you would like to work for, and you do your research on the front end to find out how this potential employer may or may not be a good fit for you. How do you research your potential employer? Ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask what type of leader they identify themselves as. When it's time to ask questions in your interview, those are some good questions to ask. But what type of leader do you identify yourself as? What do you think your strength and weakness would be, and how do you expect for me as your assistant principal to help support you in those areas? LinkedIn is a huge resource. Do some digging on LinkedIn. Have some conversations with people who are possibly in your second and third connection around a district that can give you some feedback on the particular district or school or leader that you may be working for. Don't be afraid to ask those questions. The second thing to do before your interview is update your resume and practice interview questions. You would be surprised how many people wait to the last minute to update their resume, and they don't practice interview questions. They just kind of ask a few people, go into a couple of Facebook groups, ask a bunch of questions, and then you have 100 people responding to the one question that you asked, and then you're overwhelmed. You don't know exactly what questions you should be practicing for. Don't really know if this is a vetted question into something that's a high probability of being asked, and you just kind of spin your wheels for not. So updating your resume is critical, because especially if you do not have a ton of leadership experience, or you're struggling with showcasing your leadership experience, the first place that you showcase your leadership experience and the potential for further leadership experience is your resume. So you need to tailor your resume so that it does highlight potential opportunities for yourself. Highlight those things that are going to make you stand out among the other candidates. Highlight and tailor your resume so that it looks as if you have leadership experience to showcase to your potential employer. And getting good practice interview questions. Like I said before, with knowing your why, people, I think, kind of forget that or don't practice certain things. If someone asks you, why do you want to be an AP? You need to be able to answer that question, have some practice with responding appropriately to that question. Guys, if you're joining me late, make sure that you put your name and where you're joining me from in the comments. Also, any questions that you may have, go ahead and put those in the comments as well. All right, so some things to do during the interview. Now, again, guys, this is the things that I want you to do so that you can land your first assistant principal job. Show up as the leader. You've got to sell yourself as the leader. So you're coming into your interview with confidence. You're coming in with a little bit of what I call arrogant humility. So you're arrogant enough, just enough for people to feel like you're confident, you know what you're doing, but at the same time, you balance that with a little bit of humility, knowing that there's things that you don't know, and you show that you're willing to learn and grow. So you're going in there with the combination of arrogant humility, but you're coming in there as the leader. So you're not coming in there now talking about, oh, this is what I did as a teacher, or this is what I did, or this is what I thought as a teacher. No, you're going in there with ideas that you've thought as a teacher and how you can implement those things as a leader. Talk about the things that you've done as it relates to leading and managing others. Those are the things that you should do and showcase during your interview. So that leads me to the second point, is tailoring your responses to showcase what you will be able to do as a leader. So again, no one is expecting you to have all of the experience just laid out there for you, but people are expecting that that you have some capability to be a leader. So those are two main things that definitely um, should help motivate you and propel you and make you stand out appropriately as a leader during your interview. So key things to do after your interview: follow up. You've got to do some form of follow up. Send a follow up email. It's 2019. Some people still want to send um, some people want to send thank you cards for interviewing, et cetera, et cetera. I That's still a nice gesture, but it's still slow, and people are moving really, really quickly with interviews and follow up with interviews. So it is okay in 2019, despite what Etiquette Annie would have said back in 19, whenever. It's okay and acceptable to send a follow up email. And you just simply send a thank you for the opportunity to interview. You reiterate some of the key points about yourself and just let them know that you look forward to hearing them soon and thank you for the opportunity. It doesn't have to be extremely long. And there's just various things that you can do to kind of make yourself stand out in your interview or for your follow up from your interview. I've had people to send me like a short PowerPoint presentation of themselves, just a couple of slides to remind me of who they are, highlighting a few things just to have a visual. And that I appreciate that because I am a visual learner. So that was just something that was neat and different. But I do not expect for people to go out and make a whole entire webinar selling themselves with slides and music and all these other things. That's a little bit over the top. But a simple follow-up email that's saying thank you for the opportunity should suffice. And you want to send that follow-up the follow-up email to your interview relatively quickly. So my recommendation to people is that you already have a draft of your follow-up thank you email already written. You can save it to Word, save it to Google Drive, save it to both. I recommend both because I like being able to have access at any place at any time to my documents. And just have have a shell so that you can go in and add the person's name, and any other personalized things that you would like to add, but you have the basis of your email already drafted. And I recommend to people that they go ahead and send that within that same day. So you send that information within 24 hours to someone to follow up, thanking them for the opportunity to interview. The other thing that you can do after an interview, and a lot of people don't think about this, but it is something that you could definitely do, is ask for feedback. And this is sometimes tricky of when to ask or how to ask. So typically I would say to people to ask for feedback in the event you don't get offered a job. And here is why. You a lot of times we're leaving interviews or people call back and say thanks but no thanks, we've gone with a different applicant, whatever the phrases are. But there's nothing that says that you can't follow up and say again, thank you for the opportunity. I am looking to learn and grow. Is there any feedback that you would like to offer me regarding my interview? And you can shoot that to them in an email, and see if you get a response back. Some people are so shocked that people ask for feedback, like they are excited to actually give it, because a lot of times we're sitting there with other colleagues like, oh my gosh, this person just really needed a little bit more experience in this area, or this person didn't really talk up how they analyze data in their classroom, so I'm not really sure if they have a strong data sense to be able to lead my teachers in data sessions. I feel like I would be teaching them about data. So, you may not have gotten the opportunity to ask questions, or you may not have a person like me, because I would tell people, I would, have conversations with candidates before they left the door. If I knew that this was not going to be a person I was going to hire, I would tell them, thank you for the opportunity, but let me give you some feedback. Let me refer you some books that I recommend that you read so that you are able to answer a lot more confidently on your next interview about data, about differentiated instruction, X, Y, and Z. But everybody doesn't have that opportunity or doesn't have the same type of learning principle that they're interviewing in front of to give them that tidbit of information. I was that person. Everybody doesn't have that person. So in those situations, follow up with an email and say, hey, can you give me some feedback on things that you recommend for me as I move forward in my administrative search? Boom. Simple to the point. You may have some jerk principals who don't even respond, but at least you've asked the question as to help you further develop yourself in your interviews and to get the job that you want. So here's some frequently asked questions. How to get a job without experience. Like, I don't even know how to do that. And I mentioned this before earlier in the slides. Take part in the leadership responsibilities at your current position. So showcase what you expect to do as a leader. So you don't have to have administrative experience, but show how you have led some teacher discussions. Show how you have taken part in your testing night where you've helped to get some things and materials ready for your testing coordinator. Those are huge, big things. Talk about how you've had the opportunity to shadow your assistant principal as they process a few referrals. Have meetings with your principal or your assistant principal that you're working with on how they do classroom observations. How do they schedule their time? Ask people for the opportunity to take part in some of those things. So that's how you gain that unofficial experience without having the on-the-job experience. The other frequently asked questions, I'm sorry, I skipped. The other frequently asked question is, do I need an internship to land a job? And the answer is no. You do not have to have an internship, but it does help, but it's not required. Like I mentioned before, you can gain the experience by volunteering to gain the experience that you need. I was fortunate enough that I did have an intern experience with my master's program as I was moving into administration, but a lot of programs do not offer an internship, or you may be in an alternative route to administration program within your district, and there's not necessarily an internship per se. However, pick up the phone, have a conversation, go and sit in your principal's office and say, look, I'm looking to learn and grow, and I want to eventually be an assistant principal, and I want to be able to learn from you. hardly any principal, unless you're kind of cuckoo and crazy, but I don't think you are if you're here trying to learn and grow for yourself. But hardly any principal is going to turn someone away who is looking to learn and grow and move into the ranks of administration. Because we're always looking for people to help to carry the load of the things that go on behind the scenes of schools that people have no knowledge about. B, really good principals are always thinking about how they're going to leave a legacy of great leaders to continue the work that they're doing. So, and C, it shows great initiative, and like, why would we turn you away? So go to your current principal, go to your assistant principal, and let them know that you are interested in moving into these positions and that you want to learn and you want to have the opportunity. On your planning time, can you come and do shadowing for, an hour? Another thing you can do is, if you're this, I've seen this happen in a lot of smaller districts and even with smaller schools. So in some cases, there's smaller schools that may not have an assistant principal on staff. They only have the principal and like a guidance counselor or something like that. This could work into your advantage because you can volunteer your time to go and serve in an assistant principal role at a school that does not have an assistant principal, or build a partnership with a school so when their assistant principal is out, you can go and fill in for some of those responsibilities while you're learning and growing so that you can gain experience. Talk to your principal about that, because they may be able to talk to their principal colleagues to help you maneuver and set that up for you, and even help you draft the pitch email to get you in the door for those types of opportunities. So we've got Jenny Lynn from Utah, welcome. We got Mary Edwards from Allen Park, Michigan. Awesome. Hey guys, welcome. And I know Ms. Vaughn was trying to get on, but I just don't think that she's commented yet. So those are just some quick frequently asked questions. So thank you guys. If you're just joining us or joined us late, put your name and where you're commenting from in the comments. So here's a few questions to ask yourself. Are you tired of spending countless hours trying to find resources that's tailored to you in your current role as you approach the assistant principal role? Have you struggled to find the right support / team person to ask for help? Can you picture yourself having the support that you need right now? Well, I can help you. I mentioned earlier that I am a educational career coach, and what I do, I help aspiring school leaders reach their educational career goals. And I have an awesome selective membership only access group that I want to offer you. It's called the Assistant Principal Academy. Inside the Assistant Principal Academy, you receive a digital journal, you receive a monthly AP newsletter from me with tips on how to navigate the AP role. So if you're struggling with getting ideas and understanding what really happens in the assistant principal role before you get the AP role, then this newsletter has a ton of information and resources for you specifically for the AP. There's a private members only Facebook group where we network and have discussions, and it's only members of APA that are allowed inside that Facebook group. I offer monthly office hours where I go live and I answer any questions that people may have and provide any information for that upcoming month. There's access to training resources inside your own personal portal, everything from personal leadership development, systems, data, instruction. All of those things are housed inside the Assistant Principal Academy portal that you'll have access to as a member, and so much more. As an Assistant Principal Academy member, you receive discounts on any other resources that I offer as long as you're a member. So you can join with the monthly pass for $27, or you can join with the annual pass for $279. When you join with the annual pass, you receive 2 additional months for free. As a bonus, you receive your free ebook called Beginner Assistant Principal, I'm Hired, Now What? So as you guys are going out there interviewing for jobs, you're expecting to get your first assistant principal job for the 1920 school year. This ebook is an awesome bonus all by itself that you get for free as a member of the APA Academy. So here's some bonus offers that come along with the annual pass. For the annual pass members, you receive 2 months of free membership, which is a $56 value. You have a bonus free 30-minute private coaching call. So you can call me on the phone. We'll have a conversation about what it is that you're looking to do, where your struggle areas are, and how we can do a quick fix to get you to the next level that you're going in. That is typically, guys, $199, and you're getting that for free. As a bonus, an additional bonus, you will receive the free autographed copy of my book, When She Leads. So you'll not only just have the book, but you have the book with me and my signature and my nice little message specifically to you. So all of those bonuses are over $279. So signing up for the annual pass and you get all of these bonuses pays for itself within 10 minutes of you signing up for the annual pass for the APA. Guys, ooh, typo there. Triple bonuses end in 3 days by midnight. So you've got to make sure that you place your order in 3 days so that you can make sure that you have access to the bonuses and the triple bonuses that are available for you. So this is what the portal would look like, a sneak peek of what it looks like. So here's a section where you can see all of the past newsletters that come out every month. If you could see here, there's your portal with your own description here, your own login information. And here's all of the resource sections that you have access to. So there's systems, there's the newly appointed assistant principal section, instruction, personal leadership, and data. And there's everything. New things are appearing every single month inside the portal, and you have first access to any freebies or anything that I offer as Principal Nerd goes on. So if you're ready to get started, sign up within the next 48 hours and receive an extra bonus. You receive your free ebook, Beginner AP, I'm Hired Now What? So guys, take advantage of joining the APA membership. I have just recently opened it for aspiring assistant principals. The last 2 membership openings were only for current sitting assistant principals. So you've got a lot of wealth of knowledge inside of APA. When you join, you've got people that you can immediately start picking their brain that are actually in the role right now doing the job that you want to do for the 1920 school year. So guys, if you have any questions, go ahead and jot those questions down inside of the comments and I'll be more than happy to answer them for you. So I'll be online for about 5 minutes answering any questions that you may have. And guys, if you're watching the video after the live presentation, you can always still add comments. I will be checking them for a few days and responding directly to people if there are any questions that you wish to post regarding how you land your first AP job, any questions that you might have about joining APA. And I look forward to seeing you guys inside the Assistant Principal Academy. I look forward to hearing all about your offers for your first assistant principal job so that we can celebrate you. So guys, if there's no questions tonight, I'm signing off and I look forward to seeing you inside APA. Good luck in this year's hiring season. Good night.